As they say, what happens in Vegas is broadcast to a worldwide streaming audience. I'm Chris Wolvie, the Wrestling Clock, who always tells it like it is. It's been 32 years since WrestleMania was in Las Vegas, and with any luck at all, we will not see anyone in a toga. That would be too much for the home of the Raiders, pardon me, for the home of the Raiders or the home of the Golden Knights. So let's get going. Let's start with the matinee. Here are my picks for NXT Stand and Deliver 25. Start with the countdown show match to decide a contender for the women's tag titles. Fatal Influence versus Metaphor versus Perez and Jade versus Paxley and Dolan. I thought the NXT Women's Tag Championships were abandoned for a reason. I mean, not a good reason, but that just means none of them should be a contender for the WWE Tag titles. As I think I know who's going to win on Sunday, the pick is easy. The winners are Metaphor. Six-man tag, the D'Angelo family versus the Dark State. This has been creeping up on us for months. We've all seen how Stax has been hesitant toward following the Don's orders. Bottom line, Stack is the leader of Dark State, and he's going to stab D'Angelo in the back and declare there's a new mob in the NXT, and they are taking over. Winners are the Dark State. Pardon. Ladder match for the vacant Women's North American Championship. You have to wonder if this will happen every time the title is vacated. Will 12 capable women step up to qualifiers with the winners going to another ladder match? I'm not saying it's a bad idea, mind you. It's already monotonous. Although Thea Hill just came back, I don't see her winning. Same with Dame and Vice. Jordan's already proven herself in this kind of match, but having Zarya and Sol Ruka, who have finally become cohesive, fight each other for the title? I don't know. But I think it's time that Ruka wins the gold. So Sol Ruka is primary pick, Zarya is secondary for half a point. NXT Tag Team titles, Fraxium versus Hank and Tank. Whatever happened to the friction between Nathan Frazier and Axiom? Could have sworn they were headed for a breakup months ago. And yet these Speed Demons are still strong, going for one of the longest reigns in NXT Tag Team history. Despite that, and despite the god-awful advice of Pretty Deadly, Walker and Ledger deserve some time with the belts. Maybe another tag team or two will interfere discreetly, but the belts need fresh waists to strap around. Winners and new champs, Hank and Tank. NXT Women's title, Fatal 4-Way, Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordan Grace versus Julia versus Jada Parker. I dare say that all these women deserve the title. They've all proven themselves in this way or that. Only Parker has never won a title, either in NXT or TNA. You would think that would put her in the running this time, but the other three could gang up on her one at a time and wreak havoc on the OTMer. Now, Julia is rightly upset about losing her title, but she lost fair and square. She probably shouldn't have won the title in the first place so soon after arriving. Now, Grace is truly a powerhouse, so winning the NXT title after being TNA Knockouts champ will prove she belongs, but I think Vaquer still has more to prove, so she should hang on to the title for a little longer. Winner and still champ, Stephanie Vaquer. North American title, Ricky Sainz defends against Ethan Page. Mind you, this is the only one-on-one on the entire card. It's Page's NXT title run all over again. No sooner does Sainz sneak out of AEW than he gets a title. And don't get me wrong, the man earned it, but isn't this going to do to his career what is happening to Page's? Not that Page needs that title. I mean, he's no John Cena who can win multiple primary titles and then throw in a secondary in between. Page was in for the NXT title and the NXT title alone. Sainz looks like a secondary champ to me, so while I wish neither of them could hold the belt, The winner and still champ is Ricky Saints. Finally, triple threat for the NXT title. Obafemi versus Trick Williams versus Javon Evans. You know, Femi has a point. Williams is acting almost exactly like Carmelo Hayes acted last year at this time. Williams just can't seem to escape his shadow, can he? His days of whooping that Trick seem to be done, and that means he doesn't have what it takes to beat Obafemi. Now, Javon Evans, that's a different kettle of fish. Evans has been fighting and fighting to live up to his Youngblood moniker ever since he came in. Femi may be able to bench press Evans with hardly a sweat bead emerging, but they do come smarter than Femi. Why fight harder when you can fight quicker and smarter? It's time for the youngster to earn his stripes. Winner and new champion, Javon Evans. Okay, on to the main show. Here are my picks for WrestleMania 41. Start with day one's Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Kind of knew that Naomi was the one who took out Cargill. Probably felt jealous that Belair had a new homie and wanted those tag titles back, despite how she treated them last time. But Cargill is still plenty mad and ready to beat the snot out of Trinity Fatu for forcing Cargill to stay on her ass all her months. Winner is Jade Cargill. Rey Mysterio versus Chet El Grande Americano. Dios mío, Gable. How many gimmicks do you have to pull before you realize we're just not that into you anymore? You're sounding like the Trump administration wanted to do away with DEI stuff. How else would you explain his hatred for luchadors? Nevertheless, even with the LWO on Ray's side, Chad has the Creeds and Ivy Nile on his side, and they'll make sure the faux luchador wins. Winner is El Grande Americano. United States Championship. LA Knight defends against Jacob Fatu. The Samoan Jackal, or whatever animal he is a tough nut to crack. No, literally, his head is harder than Junkyard Dog's was. This explains why he takes pleasure in being hit there. Of course, some would say Knight is equally hard-headed with the way he beat Shinsuke Nakamura for the title after Naki took it from him. Just remember, though, the blunt force trauma plants the foe's head into the mat. Fatu would just laugh that off unless it was on a chair or the like. This is the Bloodline's last hope for relevance. Winner and new champ, Jacob Fatu. World Tag Team titles. The War Raiders versus the New Day. Why do I feel that no matter who wins, the losers will still be on the outs with the company? The War Raiders aren't exactly an exciting team to watch despite their agility that defies their weight. And the New Day, well, they outlived their welcome years ago as far as I'm concerned. But I think the most important aspect of this match is the setting. Allegiant Stadium is home of the Las Vegas Raiders, so Eric and Ivar are practically on their home field. But whether they're in Oakland, Los Angeles, or Vegas, the Raiders stink at home. And I'm afraid the stink will rub off on the War Raiders too. Winner and new champs, the New Day. WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. It's Tiffy time to the nth degree as Stratton makes the big time. However, she faces the true queen of the ring. And like I said after the Rumble, when Flair comes back from injury, there is very little stopping her. Add to that the fact that she still needs a few more titles to tie and surpass her daddy makes this an interesting match. I doubt Stratton will go down without a fight, but the Queen City Prodigy is still looking to make Pappy proud before he goes to that big NWA ring in the sky. Winner and new champion, Charlotte Flair. World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus main event Jey Uso. Now, Gunther hasn't exactly been putting his title up too many times in televised matches. Not sure if he's holding the title hostage like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar used to, but he seems to go that way. Meanwhile, Jey Uso seems to personify that the world title was brought into existence to be. Now I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to split my prediction depending on when the match will take place. A friend told me that if the match is the first of the night, and that's happened more than once in history, having Jay lose will just let all the air out of the fans and they won't enjoy the rest of the night. But I still think Gunther has to keep his reign of terror going. So, if it's the first match after 7 p.m. Eastern, the winner and new champ will be Jey Uso. Otherwise, the winner and still champ is Gunther. Finally, a match that was moved up for some reason. Roman Reigns versus Seth freaking Rollins versus Phillip Brooks. You know, maybe they moved it so that Uso could still lose and the crowd would still be in it. In any case, the Tribal Chief, the Revolutionary, and the so-called best in the world is definitely main event caliber. Shame no titles on the line to make it even better, but these three have not thrown down on TV in a long time. It's been nothing but talk, talk, talk for weeks, but there is one factor not to overlook, and his name is Paul Heyman. Will his promise to Brooks cause him to turn on his Tribal Chief, or is he just in his corner and nothing else? Now, I doubt Heyman would attack Reigns on purpose, but one little misunderstanding and Reigns could come unglued. As for Rollins, he's been unglued ever since his Monday Night Messiah days, believe it or not. Believe it or not, Brooks is the only man who could keep his head on straight, and that means the winner is Phillip Brooks. On to day 2, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Let's face it, without Gallows and Anderson around, Styles is nothing more than a pusher, a jobber to the stars, as I call him. Now, Paul has absolutely no reason to get a push. After all, he only competes in major PLEs, and he no longer has a title to brag about. But he's all about the comments, likes, and subscribes, ain't he? And beating a former phenomenal one could make him consider going full-time at least. Winner is Logan Paul. Vegas Street Fight, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. This will not be as lame as the WWE 2K25 one made it out to be. In fact, this may be the bloodiest battle since that Hell in a Cell match that nearly ended Brooks' career. And let's face it, I'd love to see these guys throwing each other into craps tables and slot machines, maybe spread chips around that the ringside fans can use in a casino afterwards. But McIntyre is on the precipice of being future endeavored again. And while this will be a push for him, it's not enough to make him a title contender. So the winner is Damian Priest. Women's Tag Team titles. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defend against Women's Intercontinental Champ Lyra Valkyrie and Bayley. Yeah, no. If Valkyrie had to give up one title a week after defending both in one night, it proves that there's no place for a Lyra 2 belts in the WWE. And it's a shame that this is the best Bayley can do to get into WrestleMania again. Morgan and Rackrod may have come together just for the love of the Judgment Day, or whatever's left of it, but they've proven themselves tough nuts to crack. Winners and still champs, Morgan and Rodriguez. Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor versus Penta versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio. If the Judgment Day wants any chance of sticking together, one of their men needs to win this. They sure as heck are not going to give it to Penta after he showed up just a month ago, right? Right? Besides, if El Grande Americano survives the ordeal with Rey, he'll take the luchador out. Now, Breaker can tear both Balor and Dom Dum apart at the seams if he wanted to, but I think he needs to drop the belt and, I don't know, join Braun Strowman as a killer tag team. Maybe bring in Bronson Reed when he returns to become Braun, Braun, and Braun. Oh, and Dom shouldn't hold any title. That means that the winner and new champ will be Finn Balor. Women's World Championship Triple Threat. Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. Remember 11 years ago when Daniel Bryan argued his way into the WWE World Championship title match and won? Seems to be deja vu all over again here. Mommy didn't belong in this match, but Sky, being completely disrespected by both her and the EST, made her put Ripley in. Now Sky definitely deserved to win the title, but only because the women's IC title wasn't invented yet. She's a great competitor, but I think she belongs in the secondary race. Don't hate. So who will be the new next champ? Well, as I said, just like 11 years ago, Ripley argued her way into this match with the champ and the Rumble winner, and she'll be damned if she lets it go to waste. Winner and new champion, Rhea Ripley. Finally, WWE Championship. American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus Hollywood's recurring nightmare, John Cena. What a way to go, huh? His last WrestleMania, and he'll be booed out of the building by 60,000 plus fans who have hated him since he kicked Rhodes in his little nightmares at Elimination Chamber. One has to wonder if The Rock will be in Cena's corner, seeing as how he did move Cena to the dark side after 20 years, but even if that does happen, Cena will never get that record-breaking 17th primary title. Rhodes' story may have ended last year, but his news story as champion began there as well, and it ain't over yet. Winner and still champion, Cody Rhodes. Those are my picks. Enjoy the streaming, folks. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling blogger who always tells it like it is. Pray for peace, and I'll see you